Welcome to episode 22, season 2 of Red Wings Rant, brought to you by the Hockey Podcast Network, where tirades and impassioned pleas about your Detroit Red Wings finally have a home.
I thought that's what you were doing. Yeah.
Mike, we have a lot to talk about today. The Red Wings redeemed themselves in Game 2 against the Florida Panthers, and Mike, we have the 26-year vet with the Detroit Red Wings, Ken Kal, joining us later in the show.
Yeah,
and of course, we are going to reveal our big winner for the hat and scarf giveaway. This is not, or no, I'm sorry. I'm wearing the hat. The scarf and gloves giveaway. I'm wearing a winter hat. I'm confusing everything. This did not come with what I...
Wait, we get a used hat? Boo!
No. This was Matt's hat. He purchased with his own money. It was separate.
Gently soiled hat. Don't worry about it. Totally legit hat coming in. Matt, we were going to do some business. We got to rescue this.
I think so.
All right, let's do some business because you know what? It's March almost. It's like February. It's the month before. It's not quite time for the madness, the macho madness. Yeah. That is college basketball in March, Matt. But that doesn't mean the fun has to wait. DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook app. It's true. I looked up top apps. It was right there. It's giving all new players the chance to cash $100. That's right. New customers. Old customers, you're out. We're looking for the new blood. Yeah, spend that check right over here. Yeah. But you're going to double, triple your money. I can't wait. So new customers can bet $1 on any team to hit a three-pointer. Any team. Even the Pistons hit three-pointers. I swear to God, they hit at least one. Bet in any basketball game this week, and your team makes you a lot of money, like 100. You can turn 1 into 100, man. It's a lot. So that's right. All it takes is for one single three-pointer being hit by your chosen team to turn $1 into $100. Sounds like a no-brainer to me. Matt, this slam dunk of an offer won't be around forever, so head to the App Store now, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, and get in on all the action.
Basketball isn't for you. DraftKings Sportsbook has daily odds on hockey, soccer, and so much more. DraftKings has paid out over $7 billion to its customers since 2012, so they know a thing or two about big paydays. Mike, I'd have to throw in there, too. I've been working with college basketball the last couple of days. They gave me profit boosters, which feels pretty good on the wallet. Mike, download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use promo code THPN to get your shot to turn $1 into $100 when you bet on any team to hit a three-pointer in any basketball game this week. That's promo code THPN for new customers to get a shot at 100 to 1 odds on any basketball team to hit a three-point shot. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, Michigan, or Virginia only. New customers only. Restrictions apply. Winnings paid out in 4 $25 free bets. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or in Indiana, 1-800-9-WITH-IT, or in Virginia, call 888-532-3500. Mike, did you know that is the exact ad read that I was watching last night while watching the Red Wings game? They actually play out the same thing that we have. So we're like legit. Hey,
this is real, you guys.
Yeah.
This is a real podcast.
These two bugs are selling the same stuff that they have the pretty DraftKings ladies selling.
Yeah.
I actually, and you know what? The other one too was Tom Segura's podcast. So I was
really?
I don't know why I was so excited about that. I thought they'd give us a draft, or an ad read, and then, then Tom Segura gets, let's get a real copy guy in here to read Tom Segura's stuff. But yeah, he reads the exact same thing every week that we're reading. So
I think
don't use Tom Segura's code. Use THPN. That's how I got I unlocked all the free profit boosters because I used THPN. So yeah, if you guys know what you're doing in college basketball, because Mike, I didn't win anything, but if I had one, it would have been huge.
The one thing we got to figure out is towards the end when all the special rules apply, and they do that thing on the radio where it's pre-recorded, and then they just turn up the speed from 1 to 1.5, and it's like must be 20 0 New Jersey Indiana Major Score for 0. New customers only. Restrictions apply. Where it's playing out 4 to 25 dollars. You have to get time. Can you 100 and below, and you have 100.
Can you tell that's what I'm trying to do, and then I kind of lose it?
Is that what you're doing?
By the eighth,
yeah, it felt like you slowed down to 0.75 on that one. Call 1-800. Anyway,
so yeah, Mike, we actually have a pretty awesome episode coming up.
Speaking of fast forwarding and slowing down, really wanted to fast forward through that first Florida shellacking. Oh my God! Did they get a touchdown?
I did, Mike. My favorite word. I did a modicum of research, and I think I discovered what went wrong. And at first I started writing a little blurb, and I'm taking over for Jesse for a little bit. And a quick plug: Jesse's going to go ahead and write for us, like a Michael Rasmussen. What's going on kind of thing. Like here's where he's at. Here's what we were supposed to get with Rasmussen. Can we get that? Is there still that possibility? So we're gonna be coming out with that
one of those is it like one of those pro wrestling like Scotty Too Hotty? Where is he now?
Well, yeah, except we know where he's at. We just need to know like talent.
Like the Godfather. Now he's running a used car lot, Rasmussen. Right. He's out there, running a taco stand or something.
He's going to open up a brewery in Grand
He's going to have a Little Caesars pop-up shop right outside of Little Caesars Arena.
That would be a pretty nice deal if like every player on their entry-level deal with the Red Wings work that in. Like if things don't work out, I'd like a Little Caesars franchise, please. If I don't get my shot, give me those $5 hot and readies to sell. So, okay, back it up. So check out bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com/Red Wings Rant to see what Jesse's turning out. But I'll be coming out with the recap for this Florida Panthers series. At first I said in my head, this will be easy. Yeah, wrap it up. That first game, equal, Red Wings equal dog poop. And that should have been the article. But Mike, I feel like I figured it out. Okay. We are technically a low event team, and that's how we won game number 2. Game number 1, Mike,
there's too many events.
There were many events. No, I swear there were. If you take a look at the high danger chances and you take a look at the expected goals for and goals against, not the percentages that you and I usually bring up. This is strictly the number of expected goals and strictly the number of expected goals against. That's where we can define the events. This was our second most expected goals against of the season. Makes sense. Also, fourth most expected goals for. So what happened was, 1, we were trying to catch up, but 2, Jeff let go of the reins. He said, look, guys, we're getting our asses handed to us. Go for it. And the game just got worse and worse. And when we opened it up, Mike, we lost the turnover battle 10-1. Like, it's not like we lost it 10-1 and Florida was just playing like sound defense. And they're like, we're just going to focus on defense tonight. No, they still gave up a couple goals and they were running up and down the ice. Mike, there's so many things that went wrong. I mean, you also had the quote from Franz Nielsen too that I thought wrapped the bow on this. Is analytically you can take a look at that and say, yep, Jeff let the reins go. He said, boys, try and catch up. Oof. The takeaways, like I said, we lost 10-1, and then Nielsen put the cherry on top. Now, I'm not gonna. We know where he's at talent wise, but truth wise, honesty wise, in a post game press conference thingy. They're not press conferences anymore. Nice post-game Zoom meeting. He said, we lost every single one-on-one battle.
Yeah.
So I'm like, this is why we do low event games.
Yeah. No, I think that's a fantastic point. I kind of think of it, hashtag hungry hippos. But the other thing that it kind of reminds me of is it's kind of like, don't think of like a fight pit when I bring up these two dogs, but just so you kind of have that kind of shaped arena, right? So if we had a fight pit and the Panthers were like a Doberman and the Red Wings are a pug and they filled it with blueberries, right? If we're just in a little round fight pit, the pug has a fighting chance to gobble up more blueberries than the Doberman. But if they also threw in 100-yard dash and there's blueberries to scoop up all along that dash, pug's got no chance. All right, the Doberman's going to be running down like a Pac-Man, and the little poor pug's going to get confused, probably bump into the bumpers. It's not going to work out. So basically,
God forbid he sneezes, because one of those eyeballs is going to go in that pile of blueberries,
and then the blueberries are going to come out of the eye hole. Like, it's just all that effort's going to be gone. So you had a real statistical dissection, and for people who didn't quite understand it, I tried to break it down blueberry dog style. So
I appreciate that. So, I mean, still, like, long story short, we got lunched. But I at least wanted to, like, there had to be a reason to it. There was a difference than just, like, things didn't work out. And it was reported, too. So we found out after the game. Let me cue this up.
And while you're queuing that up, I have a question for you. So when the tide really started to turn and the Doberman was going down the dirt alley eating up all the blueberries, did Blashill actually give the green light, or were the boys on the bench like, Jeff, turn us loose? And Jeff said, you know what? Fuck it.
Well, I do think part of it. I'm pretty sad right now. I think I lost my blog from last night. I'm super bumming right now. I just realized it's gone.
Oh man, Control S. What happened?
I don't know. I was gonna bring up some more points from it, but I guess I can't. So what I wanted to say was that it was the loss of the masseuse, and it was Chica that I wanted to bring up here, and I had like some numbers and some little poetic ditties that went along with it, and you know what, they're gone. But I did want to throw in there initially, like what I actually spoke with Jesse when we were talking about doing a recap of this game. I said, well, you know what, let's not do anything really, because it could be that they found out this news about their masseuse, Chica, who'd been with the team for 20 years, had passed, and that could really do damage. But just for the sake of this analysis meaning something, and we did want to mention too that they did find out after the game. So whatever went on during the game, based on the report from Helene St. James, they found out about the Chica stuff after the game. So they get lunch, then they go in the locker room and find out. By all accounts, a wonderful human being, because she's just, people are coming out of the woodworks to say good things. And, I guess on behalf of the Red Wings Rant, I almost said the Detroit Red Wings, on behalf of Red Wings Rant, I think we could all agree that we weren't going to give enough credit to Chica and what he'd been able to do for this team, because I didn't know his name until he had passed, but he'd been around for quite a bit of success. And like we saw with Draper and Osgood and Nicholas Lidstrom, he meant a lot, and especially it cut Blashill to the core as well. But we bring that up. Our thoughts are with Chica's family. But yeah, I guess just to give that a little extra, I don't know. I guess there could still be that argument, because I still saw it on Twitter the next day. But again, according to the report, they found out about his passing after the game. So we do think there's a little bit more credence to this, letting the team go, like releasing the reins at some point during the game. And that's why it got so far out of hand. All right. I'm glad I brought that up. It feels awkward. It feels like I put some
he's definitely part of. Yeah, I mean, he's a big part of the team, and he really made an impact on a lot of the players' lives. Not just with the longevity, but his positivity, and he definitely had a passion. It looks like one of his favorite things was being in the hot tub with a cold beer. And as somebody who's actually done that, the guy has good taste too. So yeah, just kind of sad news, and at least with his passing, he's leaving a positive influence. So it means he's doing something right. So
I'm glad you said that, because I did find that was one of my little ditties. So it was game 2. If we start to make the pivot, right? So Greiss also had a terrible game. If that was something we didn't bring up about game 1. His expected goals against was 1.2, and he gave up 4. That's obviously a little bit more than you want to see, and that was only in one period. So
yeah,
not great. But I look at it as like Greiss has been given so much to do so far in this first third of the season. Are we at first third? How many games have we played? 20 or 60? Yeah,
just about.
Like first third of the season. Like you can't blame him. And the law of averages has to catch up with a goaltender who's been playing his nuts off. So Greiss had a bad game, but you know what? He's going to come back, give us a good one. But we move into game 2, Mike, and I said, surely the win the Wings earned Saturday night could be attributed to the same level of heart and care it was said Chica brought and provided to the Red Wings for 20 seasons. And I brought up the heart and care scene in the celebration of Brome's first effing goal. Woo!
Finally, yeah.
The Brome scored, and Mickey Redmond brought it up during the broadcast. Brome was so excited. He nearly just did a lap around the rink, but Larkin grabbed him by the jersey and said, "No, we're celebrating right here, man." And man, I scared the crap out of my daughter. She was actually so this is like a late matinee game, and she's settling down for the night when this puck goes in. So she's starting to wind down and putting her PJs on. And Mike, I have not yelled that loud this entire season. I have not been this excited in wins, even when we won in overtime, when Larkin was spanking Bertuzzi with the stick and all that fun stuff. But no, Brome scores, Mike. I just utter jubilation in the household that Addie built. But yeah, she nearly jumped out of my wife's arms while she was trying to like wind down for the night. That was something that she's going to have to get used to, because the Red Wings are only going to trend up. So more wins, more goals coming. But Mike, I don't know how you feel about this, but that looked like a goal that could turn so many different things around. And I'm going to try and pull it up here while we're.
Yeah, because it's funny. I was in the car when that goal went in, and so I got to hear the other side. I got to hear Ken Kal, who we're going to actually hear from the man in a moment. And the play going across the sky, Brome scores! Gosh, he's been snake bit for the whole season! Yay! He was like Kermit the Frogging. He was so excited, like the yay! And Paul Woods was also, they were both just, oh yeah, you're totally right there. And it's just felt like nothing's been going in for the kid, and he's been working so hard. And gotta feel nice to finally get that one in there, right, Ken? And they were both like high-fiving on the broadcast booth, so it was it was definitely a celebration, kind of felt across TV and radio. So I was pretty pumped too.
And we can only share that highlight for so long, but you could see like this was all about what Brome said after the game. Like he said, "Hey, Mike, Brome said it. He said it's all about coaching. Coaching, he gets to the front of the net." Right? He said that's what our plan is. So Larkin with another great play. I'd say, Mike, this entire game, Larkin's ragging the puck, using his speed to create scoring chances and to create secondary scoring chances, because he's getting out away from the defenders and making space so that he can put the puck where he wants to put it. He's not putting it where the defenders are allowing him. That is where Dylan Larkin is mega dangerous. And then Brome, because of coaching, and Mike, maybe because of development, goes to the front of the net, gets the rebound goal. Bango, bango. Mike gets the game winner in his first goal. And Mike, could you imagine I know Bobrovsky's definitely come down the last couple of years for Florida after he, signs a $10 million contract, and he's like, yeah, I'm good. But still, could you imagine game-winning goal on your first goal? Your assist is from the captain, Dylan Larkin, and you get to tell your kids, I scored on Sergei Bobrovsky for my first goal. I think this is a pretty nice story for Brome.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was I think the commentary team was saying that's one of our best periods I think we've played all season. And it was just, a second period against Florida Panthers who've, been dominating the league. And we know the Panthers hate us. I think they really, are going to have a printout of Jonathan Bernier because of all the amazing saves that guy had last night. And I think they're going to be circling the schedule to get some revenge on John. They were furious, especially after that second goal. Ken Kal, I heard him gulp on the radio. Oh boy, here comes another rush for Florida. They're coming in hot. Oh Jesus, oh Christ, here they come. Oh, Bernier with another save. Oh, another save. Wish that one would go flying up in the stands because he needs a break. And it was just, he's getting bombarded. The Panthers were furious that the Red Wings had the audacity to limit the Panthers to less than a touchdown. And it was just John standing on his head. So a lot of credit to Bernier. I'm excited for Brome, but man, it kind of feels like Bernier is he's such a unheralded hero after last year when we kind of tongue in cheek, but statistically we looked at who he was working with. The man to your left and the man on your right are not very good defensemen. Buckle in, John. We made a case for him to be an MVP. And then, the Red Wings go out and, hey, we got a starter. We got Thomas Greiss. And Bernier's like, you got a starter over the MVP? Really? So, hello? And right. So he just comes out and, he puts out another good effort, limiting the Panther offense to one goal. So it was inspiring stuff. And, yeah.
Yeah, I looked at it as his expected goals against was getting near 3, and then this was a 5-on-5 shutout. I'm gonna call it that because that's our game. That's what we need. Our special team sucks, so it's not always our goaltender's fault. You can't expect them to go 100%.
You're 1,000% right. It does feel like a Pee-wee hockey dry erase board. Now listen, guys, we got a 5-on-5 shutout. Yeah, how about that? Now, they did score 8 on the power play, but 5-on-5, there's nothing up there. All right.
Do you think there's a little bit of Bernier that's upset that Brome got that first goal on the night that he did a 38 save 1-goal performance? He still got the first star, but I still feel like all the tweets this morning from Red Wings fans and even from the Detroit Red Wings account are all focused on Brome getting that goal. When Bernier why did we win this game? It's because Bernier kept it close the entire time. This is one of the rare times that we only got the expected goals for one period, like winning that battle.
Yeah. And
the Panthers just absolutely lunched us in that third period. So even though Brome gets that goal and we win 2-1, the chances were all for Florida. It pretty much looked like if Larkin wasn't out there, we were struggling to get a good hearty chance. But all that being said, we know it's. I said Bernier turns into Burn yay. So yeah, this is good for Greiss that Bernier had such a good game. I'd hope that we're getting a couple of days here. Maybe give Greiss another sit. Let Bernier play the next game since he's looking hot, and go from there. This whole season, I don't know if we want to look too much into anything, but that seems like at least safe enough, easy enough to give Greiss some more rest because he was asked to probably do too much or more than any part of that discussion with Steve Yzerman when he came in. I think it was supposed to be a 50-50 split, but Greiss was playing his nuts off. Bernier's out, and now it's just, you know what? This will be this team. This will be how the goaltending works for this team. I think it'll just be, it's like a relationship. You know, when one person is more in love with the other person, right now we're just more in love with how Bernier's playing, and we're going to give Grice, we're going to let him sit on the back burner a little bit. How about one more thing?
Easy to do after last night. Really proud to have him on the squad. What were you going to bring up?
Well, I was going to say last thing here, and then we'll do our games and we'll do our giveaway if anybody's watching for that. But Darren Helm, Mike, he actually had a pretty good game, as he was the guy where Brome scored. Helm was the guy that was kind of in that Brome role while Larkin was on the ice, but led in individual Corsi 4 attempts. So that, if for anybody that hasn't been along for the ride for the entire show, those Corsi 4s mean that you're throwing the puck at the net. Doesn't necessarily mean it was a shot on goal, but you're trying to create some offense with your possession. And we also call that measuring possession, because it's better than just holding onto the puck. You're actually throwing it at the net. Also, Mike led the team in individual expected goals. Now, we know Helm wasn't successful, but it's pretty hard to lead the team in expected goals. You have to get up in front of the net. You've got to be getting those secondary scoring chances. And when that happens, Mike, you're taking a lot of sticks to the face, as Darren saw. He also laid out, Mike, did a fantastic job laying out Gudas, who's going to need to take some more blows as we wrap up the season series with the Panthers in the next go-around. But since the NHL player safety isn't doing anything, it's good to see Helm was throwing his elbows around. And Mike also led the team in individual high-danger scoring chances. So that's kind of how you buckle together the expected goals being so high. One hit, that'd be that one on Gudas. 5 shots, so it's different from the Corsi 4. Mike, these are all things that Helm led the team in.
Yeah.
He doesn't have a ton of talent. We know that. But he's got a lot of gumption. He's a high-effort guy. And when those numbers aren't there, you kind of ask, what's Helm doing out there? But yeah, he gets a first-line opportunity with Mantha and Larkin. And last night, it just, possession-wise, paid off. Expected goals-wise, it paid off, at least from that analytics perspective. You're kind of making the argument that if they're not doing that, then the Florida Panthers are getting more shots on net, right? So there's that. Now, are we going to score with Darren Helm on the first line? No, but we certainly prevented them from putting some stuff on net. So little victories. That's how you win 2-1 against the best team in the Discover Central Division. Okay.
Well, I was going to say real quick too. I wanted to throw credit to one more of our boys. Helm got to play with Larkin, and he saw that it really made a big impact. So I just wanted to let you know obviously this player I'm going to name had another fantastic night taking faceoffs. He's one of the best in the league. Incredibly, we just have this guy. He's just there. For ice time, obviously Larkin and Mantha 1-2. Helm being on the coattails with Larkin makes sense. But Matt, right after that, my boy, the hero, Mr. Electricity, Luke Glendening. 1743, Matt. He's basically getting defenseman minutes. He's rocking and rolling. I'm glad he's getting some recognition. I want my man on the PP and the PK. I want him on 5-on-5. I want him on 5-on-3. I want him on 3-on-5. I want him in every situation. Glenn, thank you, buddy, for winning all those faceoffs. It warms my heart. Anyway, we can move on. I just wanted to talk about my crush on Luke Glendening.
Oh, the human face-off machine.
Yeah.
There was.
He had an assist too. He had an assist, which he's like, I get a point here and there. That's not really me. I'm not that guy. I'm a face-off.
It's about making sure you guys get the puck. That's why I win these face-offs. Now, look, I'm glad you brought that up, because I saw mentioned Greg Krupa brought up Glendening's face-off percentage. There was a response to his tweet about how unimportant face-offs are, and
okay.
I jumped on that, and I said like the correlation that this person made was we lose, so face-offs aren't important. The whole idea of this team is limiting events, and you limit those events by controlling the puck. You control the puck by winning that initial face-off.
Yeah.
this team can't win without those face-off wins. That's the correlation you make. Like you should be saying, if we didn't win these face-offs, these would be absolute blowouts. Okay, like keep in mind too, like even Fabry's face-off percentage is up, and I think they said he's yesterday was around 60%.
Yeah.
I mean that. I'm sorry. I will die on the hill that face-offs. I mean, this is as easy as like winning the offensive line, defensive line battle in football. Like that's the long and short of it. If you can't win a face-off, you're starting at a deficit every puck possession. Don't poo-poo the face-off percentage. Don't look at it as we win the face-off percentage and we still lose the game. Talent-wise, that's where we're at. We will lose most games. Think about it as this could be so much worse if we were not winning the face-offs. It's tough to say. Like, you know, we're not in that position right now to just draw a line to correlate, you know, face-offs won and face-offs lost. But we can look at, you know, like I guess I was going to say like the expected goals and just kind of say who's allowing more expected goals when we already won the face-off. Like we don't know what's going to happen, but we can. This is where I was going with this. We can take a look at somebody like Athanasiou's numbers last year, that huge negative he had in the plus minus category, meaning that he was always starting at that deficit. Or I'm sorry, I was going to say a low face-off percentage for when his line was out there. So they're always starting in that deficit. We're not saying that Athanasiou was always the cause of goals against, but that's one correlation you could make is how bad it could get when you start off with a low, you have a low face-off percentage, or you start off losing that face-off. So I'd caution everyone to not necessarily go along with that correlation that even though we win face-offs, we still lose, so face-offs don't matter. I will put face-offs top of the list for me. That's how I roll.
I mean, we're not a great puck possession team. That's why we can't score on a power play. And the streak continues of ineptitude. So, you know, because that's all about puck control, you know, setting up a play and, you know, getting the shot that you want. So I got to think that a team that we're going to limit any kind of, you know, scoring chances both for them and, you know, for us, because we're just going to kind of buckle down and play defense. We got to get the puck somehow. And I think winning that faceoff and seeing Glenn Denning's, you know, positive influence on the team, I think that kind of speaks for itself. You know, he's one of the stronger defenders as a forward, and this is an indication of that. It's because for the few seconds that we actually control a puck in a 60-minute hockey game, I'm going to give credit to it's Luke Glendenning's stick getting it back to a Red Wing. So I don't know. I could kind of see where Krupa's coming from, where
well, Krupa just shared it. It was somebody that replied to him.
Okay. Because if you look at the league leaders, there's quite a few Red Wings up there, but I would just dig a little bit deeper. I wouldn't just go off, you know, the top of the stat sheet there.
Mike, are you ready to play?
Is it time? Pokemon! Yeah. Yeah. So here's what we do. We cherry pick a quote out of context from head coach Jeff Blashill. It's about usually one of the Detroit Red Wings, and today is kind of an exception, Matt. We're going to go all the way to I don't want to say who this person is because I think it'll give it away. But it's about a Red Wing, Matt. And when we read these quotes, it's okay to hear my voice. But it's even more exciting to hear friend of the show, Paul Woods, jump in and read it for us. Matt, are you excited to try and guess this episode's Pokemon?
Line it up.
All right, here we go. Hey, everybody, it's your old buddy here, Paul Woods. A little jealous that Ken Kal got to be on the show and not me. I was sitting at home just listening to the podcast all jelly. So I'm peanut butter and jelly here, but I'm going to help out the show anyway because I'm a good sport. And hopefully I'll be on for a 2-hour interview with just Mike, and we'll just talk to each other in my voice. Maybe I'll do an impression of Michael, and he'll do an impression of me, and we'll try and play Who's That Pokemon with each other. Pokemon, Pokemon, Pokemon. Sounds very natural when I say it. Here we go. Blank distributes the puck well. His offense is just, I think it's more of a confidence thing than anything. He's starting to feel good in those situations and feeling like he can score. Now, Matt, I'm going to give you an extra piece of context on this one because this quote was a little tough. The Red Wings feel blank needs to become more of a scoring threat from the point, and he has put the work in to become one. This is a really hard one, and it's not Jeff Blashill.
That was not Jeff that made that quote, or the answer is it
Jeff Blashill was not part of the answer. He was not part of the quote. So I gave you that context there. The Red Wings felt blank, needed to become more of a scoring threat from the point, and he's put in the work to become one. Here's the quote one more time, as read by a friend of the show, Paul Woods. Blank distributes the puck well. His offense is just, I think it's more of a confidence thing than anything. He's starting to feel good in those situations and feeling like he can score. Now, the other clue I'm going to give you, when I give you this answer, you're going to be a little, what the off you?
The other clue?
That was the other clue. Like when you hear who it is, when you get it wrong, you're going to be like, oh, come on.
All right. Well, it's got to be based off of like recent performance. And we saw Christian Juice put one in. So I'm going Christian Juice on that. Like it's if somebody scored from the point, we've been giving him more power play time. And Mike, I just did. I put out our graph yesterday. A little. I looked back at the last 4 years of power plays for every defenseman in the NHL, and saw that Juice is putting in the effort. He's just not getting the bounces. But Mike, go ahead and say it. Matthew, you are correct.
Matt, you made a compelling case, but you are wrong. All right, get ready to get mad. The Red Wings feel blank needed to become more of a scoring threat from the point, and he put the work in to become one. Mo Seider needed to put even more work to be even more of an offensive threat as a defenseman.
Not cool.
Whew.
I'm not mad at that quote. I'm not mad at whoever put that. I'm mad at this guy that on the screen.
Man, the Pokemon come as they come. I can't help it. All right, I wanted to put that in there because I was trying to pick a good one, and I was just aghast. I mean, I know the Red Wing defensemen have 5 goals already this year. What a motley crew of net crashers those guys are. Last night was no exception. We got another defenseman goal. Dolph Ziggler's other brother put in another one. But really, Mo Seider, I know you'd immediately come in and be our best offensive defenseman. But before we call you up, could you get it a little better? Could you dominate the Swedish league even more? It made me mad, and so I wanted to share it with you because I was just like, this is ridiculous. Last year he would have been our best defenseman. This year he might be a top 5 defenseman. He's that exciting a prospect. I'm pissed.
So I'm mad at you because now I know I've got to pull up elite prospects and know that the 100 guys that we have on the team in the minors and all of our guys that are just around the world developing are now an option for who's
they're
that
all
Pokemon.
up. They're all on the board. Mate, we're going from the Kanto region. We're going to the Alola region. All the regions are open now. You can get.
That's a good reference. I was thinking of Kanto Bite though. The first second that you said it. Remember from?
We just had the big Kanto Pokemon Go celebration yesterday. We could have got a shiny Mew for $8.
Wow! All you had to do was give him $8. What a great game!
I did not put money down on that, but then when I read the aftermath, you could get a shiny Mew. I was like, "Oh, missed opportunity."
Well, Mike, I think we're just about ready to sail off into the sunset. So I do want to remind everybody to find us at bodpodcast.com and brothersinDiscussion.com/Red Wings Rant. And then we're going to jump into our interview with new friend of the show. As he said himself, he's excited to come back on, Ken Kal. But before we do that, Mike, we have, and let me grab it right here. Still in its plastic wrap. See, I didn't crack it open like Mike said. We have the Red Wings scarf and gloves. Headed out. We have a winner picked. I have a graphic up right now. If you guys are watching, our winner for the first Red Wings Rant giveaway is
Yay! Tay.
If you're not watching right now, I will reach out. But Tay is our big winner for the giveaway. I'm sorry for everybody that did attempt to win it, but Mike knows we have a big, juicy giveaway coming up next that may or may not be signed by the greatest defenseman of all time.
Mo
So
Seider.
you guys wanna...
Oh, sorry. Darian Hatcher. Oh, wait.
All right, keep your eyes peeled. Stick to Red Wings Rant, and we'll let you guys know in the big giveaway that includes a signature from the greatest defenseman of all time will be our next giveaway. But congratulations to Tay. Glad to have you aboard.
No, it's Nick Lidstrom.
With that, Mike, are you ready to listen to? I would say, Mike, this is my absolute favorite interview so far. For those of you that don't know, and I can't remember if we actually go into this, but my old job, I was working with Ken, and that's where we actually met. So Ken is Mike. He is the sweetest guy in the world. We actually talked for 2 hours after we stopped recording. And Mike, I mean, it was the best time. And I told Ken, like at the end of the conversation, I said, when my kids bug me and say, Dad, why did you waste 15 years of your life doing podcasting? I'm going to say, I'm going to come back to this conversation and say it because I got to talk to people like Ken Kal.
My brother.
And but I have to say, you guys are really going to enjoy this. We're going to get into Ken's career. We get into timetables for the Detroit Red Wings, and we have some fun. We have my favorite segments are always the icebreakers and kind of get everybody all juiced up for the rest of the conversation. All right, let me make sure the audio is being shared. Mike, I want you to stay on board for a minute to make sure the audio is working. As we all know, that's been a problem before. But everybody, thanks for listening again. That's bodpodcast.com and brothersofdiscussion.com/Red Wings Rant to get all those blogs. We are at BOD Hockey on Twitter. And this is previously recorded, so that's why we're doing the wrap up now. So here we go. I like this part.
Here we go.
He is former outfielder for the Catholic League Division Championship winning St. Alphonsus, Detroit Lions fan, and most importantly, in his 26th year as play-by-play announcer for your Detroit Red Wings, he is Mr. Ken Kal. Ken, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I like that outfield thing because that was one of the highlights of my career before I got the Red Wing job is to be playing at Old Tiger Stadium, played there 3 times. Twice for my high school team, once as an American Legion All-Star. So it brought back some really good memories. So thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. My dad actually, he graduated from St. Al's. There's been a lot of big family moments at St. Al's. There's been weddings. There's been some funerals, but I grew up in Dearborn. So it was something for me when I started looking up your career at St. Al's. That was the first thing that popped up. So I was like, yeah, let's throw in some good memories in there.
We had a lot of great athletes there in Dearborn, and a lot of them went to St. Alphonsus. We were a Class C operation at the time, so we weren't really up with the big boys like Catholic Central and Brother Rice. But we won our share of hockey or baseball games, so it was a lot of fun playing for St. Alphonsus, especially in those months of April, May, and June.
Yeah, it's a beautiful spot too. If anybody's had or has the opportunity, I mean, it's not like we're talking European tours of churches, but that St. Al's is a beautiful building. Highly recommend it again if you have the time. So Ken, like I said, I wanted to do some icebreaker questions with you. So I have 3 categories here. So you just let me know which one sounds like the most fun. But I've got pizza, beer, and the Detroit Lions. As I already mentioned, huge Detroit Lions fan. We know you are. So any one of those that sounds the most fun?
Well, they're all pretty good topics, but I'm gonna have to go with the middle one, beer. How's
All
that?
right, let's do it. It's one of the things we do with our show is we do our hashtag wet the beak for the streak. So what we try to do is bounce around to some, I would say local breweries, but I'm out in Livingston County, so I can't dabble in too many Detroit breweries. But I wanted to put it this way: the season is done. You're looking out on Lake St. Clair. What beer are you toasting the season to? Good job for me.
Well, I'm an old school kind of guy, and I don't know a lot about craft brewing, and I rely on a guy named Kyle Kujava who works in our Red Wing Public Relations Department. He knows everything about craft beer. So if I want to dabble into that, I make sure I contact him first. Let's say I go to a restaurant, I'll look at the menu and I'll say, hey, Kyle, what can you recommend for me? But I'm old school, and growing up in Detroit, my favorite beer has always been Stroh's.
Nice.
And so if I'm out on the lake on the play-by-play, just enjoying the sunshine in a 90-degree weather day, I'm probably drinking a Stroh's or a Stroh's Light.
No, that's a perfect pick. That's one that I think always has a spot in my fridge. I am the Michigander with my fridge sitting in my garage. That's my beer fridge. So if I'm going to be listening to the Tigers game, I know if I'm not experimenting with some local craft beer, but there's always the trusty Stroh's in the bottom right corner.
Well, put it this way: there's never been a beer I didn't like. So if it's free, I'll take it.
Well, we've just mentioned that you're a Detroit Lions fan. You were playing baseball in Dearborn, and one of the things that you were adamant about when you described yourself as a play-by-play announcer, you come back to the point that you were a fan first, and I think we all hear it. It bleeds through on. I wouldn't say like you've also been adamant to say you want to be professional, so it's not something where you're swearing up a storm if the Red Wings can't get a goal like I am. But like you feel the energy when you're calling a game. This is me listening to another Red Wings fan. How do you feel that's helped you tell the story? As we mentioned, you're in your 26th season. How do you feel that's helped you tell the Red Wings story the last 26 years?
Well, I always tell people I have a really good job. I'm just a fan that has a really good job that a lot of people would like to have. So I'm very fortunate in that regard. But I grew up my entire life in Detroit, so I've always been a lifelong Detroiter and follower of the Lions, Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers. And I can remember back in the day when I was in high school, the Red Wings weren't very good. And the generation now, up until this point, from 25 years ago or 30 years ago till now, they always made the playoffs. And I think a lot of people got spoiled. You think of the Red Wings and it's like, yeah, they're always making the playoffs. When I was young, and the Red Wings were in the 50s, when my dad was watching them, he would tell me the same thing. Hey, they always make the playoffs. But when I grew up and I started enjoying Red Wing hockey, and I was in high school, or I was 10, 11, 12 years old, and then into high school, they weren't very good. So for me as a broadcaster to be able to live through those times and then see everything change with the Ilitch organization buying the team and then eventually winning all those Stanley Cups, and for someone to say that you would be the one calling those Stanley Cup championships, I would have never dreamed about that. So again, very fortunate. I guess I was in the right place at the right time. Timing's everything in life, and certainly been enjoying the ride.
Well, I mean, from us here at Red Wings Rant, I mean, we appreciate every word that you've spoken, to the point that we used to actually intro our show. I wanted to see how you felt about it, because it was actually ended up being a hell of a call. But that 2008, the last 15 seconds that you got there, I mean, it was a drop on our show because we absolutely love it. I know that you were ill at the time, but it's iconic in my head. That it's definitely up there, I guess, in my generation of Detroit sports fandom. It's right there with Dan Dickerson calling the home run victory for the Tigers. So I sending them to the World Series. But this is us winning the Stanley Cup. Host is coming in. You throw out Osgood with the save, and we skate off with the cup. How do you feel about that looking back now? Do you have fond memories, or are you still, is it something like you wish it had just been different? Because I hold it near and dear to my heart.
Well, it's funny what people remember, I mean, it takes a guy with laryngitis to come up with a call that everyone loves. What does that say about you? No, you know what? It was really strange because I remember flying to Pittsburgh and after Game 5 in Detroit, and I woke up in the middle of the night and I'm like, man, something's not right. I'm just not. I'm not feeling good, And in the morning, I lost my voice completely. And here we are. You go through the entire season. You have an opportunity now to win the Stanley Cup, and you can't talk. So one of the most disappointing calls I had to make was, I didn't have a voice, but I'm trying to call the program director of the radio station, Jimmy Powers, and I'm saying, listen, you got to get somebody else to do the game. Luckily, Ken Daniels flew in and on short notice did a really good job. And I was happy for him because as a television guy, as you know, you
Right.
never get a chance to call a Stanley Cup championship because you're always out in the first round and you end up watching it. So I'm thinking, well, this will be a good thing for him because he'll finally get an opportunity to call a Stanley Cup championship. Well, wouldn't you know it? Good thing I rested all day because with 20, 25 seconds left while Paul Woods was talking, he took his headphones off and he's talking to me and he's going, I'm throwing it to you for the last 15 seconds. And we got into this argument and I could barely talk. And I'm going, no, you do it. He's like, no, you do it. And we're going back and forth. Finally, he gets on the headset again and he goes, Ken Kal, take it away. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I have left in the tank, but I'm going to do the best I could. And wouldn't you know it, what an exciting play at the end,
Oh my gosh.
where, so, it's good to save and the rebound right out in front, and then time runs out, the Red Wings win. And, and that's the only amount of voice I had left. That was it. And luckily they didn't tie it and go into overtime.
Daniels is just walking out of the room. You've got this. I'll say too, that was an absolute joy for you to throw it out there right there too. For me to hear that. I think for me and why it's so special to me, like that was something I watched the Cup wins in 97 and 98 and 2002, but it wasn't until just for me growing up and being a fan until we hit that 2008 Stanley Cup where I was really, that's where I was diving into numbers. That's where I was looking at our prospects from overseas. That's when you put on the hard hat, but it's red and it's got a winged wheel on the side. And as a fan, you were diving so deep. And that Stanley Cup, I think right now goes down, you get to see like Nicholas Lidstrom answer that question of which Stanley Cup means the most. And they always throw out, they're all different. But for a fan, that one to me is my absolute favorite. And like I said, we couldn't not have it. Before we found out people were going to listen to our show, so we had to stop doing the copyrighted audio. So we had to cut that from our intro. But I mean, still for a few episodes, everybody got a nice little reminder of the 2008 Stanley Cup.
Well, Matt, what was difficult too is the following year in 2009. I still say that if we played that Game 7, 9 out of 10 times, we probably win that hockey game. And it was just so disappointing to fall behind. And the Red Wings almost had a chance to tie it. And Lidstrom had a great chance. Fleury made the save. And, it was one of those things where they could have had 5 Stanley Cups, in our era. And it just, you go through the whole season and you go through the entire playoff run. And let me tell you, it takes a lot out of you. I can't imagine what it takes out of the players, but you go to a Game 7, everything's on the line, and you end up losing, and you lose at home to a team that you have a really good rivalry with now in Pittsburgh. And, I always say that, I think if you played that game over, the Red Wings win that hockey game. But, hey, that's not how it works, and
right.
Since that time now, the Red Wings haven't won a Stanley Cup, so it's time to get back on track and try to head in that same direction.
Yeah, that's actually a great transition because I mean, part of the thing too is like you look at where the Red Wings are at now, and I would trade to go back to a Stanley Cup Game 7 loss, no problem. Even though I've yet to go back and rewatch those games because they're so heartbreaking, I would. Yeah, as a fan, you do a lot. But I was wondering from your approach, and one of the things we like to do on the show is kind of get it's not just strictly about Red Wings talk, but I like to get your perspective on how you as a media person, how has your job changed from those Stanley Cup years to now? Like what do you think is like the biggest thing that's changed, like prep wise, or just like your mindset has changed, being in the middle of a rebuild rather than looking at the start of every season going, hey, we're probably going to win the Stanley Cup again?
Well, that's a good question. And I can remember when we would do a yearly meeting for the Detroit Sports Broadcasters Association, we'd always have Ken Holland in, and he would always talk about, all right, well, we're going to win the cup again this year. We got a good chance to win it. And we talked about who we're going to pick up at the trade deadline. And it was nothing about draft choices or anything like that. So for 25 years, basically, I really didn't, know much about any of the draft choices or anything like that, because chances are, if they were going to make the team, it wasn't going to be for another 5 or 6 years,
Right.
And Ken Holland ended up trading a lot of those draft choices just to get players at the trade deadline, because we were in a win now situation. So I think the biggest change now is knowing who you drafted, how are they developing, and to be honest with you, you keep an eye on guys like Lucas Raymond and Mo Seider and Joe Veleno and Jonathan Berggren and Theodore Niederbach. So you follow them more and more than I ever did before, so that when they do come up to the Red Wings, you know a little bit more about them. Back in the day, it was all about veterans, and it goes back to Scotty Bowman, because he said you win with veteran players, not so much the young guys. And if you want a whole team of young guys, I can guarantee you one thing: you're not going to win much. So, he was all about experience, and it was just a different way of where the Red Wings were to now. So yeah, good question. But now I think more the focus is, what are we going to do in the future? Who are the players that are going to be Red Wings for a long period of time? And, are these players going to win a Stanley Cup one day here in Detroit?
Yeah, because part of the job that you have is such a tough one, because you are calling the game, but there's also I'm going to, for lack of a better word, use banter. But there's the banter between you and Paul that eventually, you're we could come back to the fact that you said you're a fan first. That's what it turns into, is a fan conversation discussing the Red Wings. So you've got to keep those things in mind. That I think a lot of Red Wings fans have made the same transition, where you've gone from who we're going to pick up in that trade deadline to, oh man, can't wait for 2 years when Lucas Raymond's here. It's I did want to follow up that one with if what would be or if there's anybody's name that's bouncing around a lot that maybe Red Wings fans aren't putting enough time or effort into paying attention to from a prospect perspective. Someone that's maybe some buzzy kind of name that's running around internally.
No, I don't have really a lot of inside information, and Steve Yzerman unfortunately doesn't invite me to all his meetings,
Right.
Especially in this COVID world. And that's one of the things I always tell people. People ask me because they think I have this inside information. And it's like, oh yeah, I sit in the boardroom all the time, and the first person he asks is me. But no, that's not how it works. In fact, we're so far with this COVID restriction now, like I don't get a chance to talk to the players or the coaches or anything. And the only time I do is on a Zoom call if I'm able to do that. And things have changed in our radio broadcast, where now the host starts doing that, and I don't really have much communication with them. So it's really kind of difficult, and you have to do your own homework. What I do miss is some information when you run into guys like Chris Draper or one of the scouts like Kirk Maltby or even Steve Yzerman himself, and they might give you a little tidbit about what they're thinking about a certain prospect or what have you. But all I can tell you is there are a couple of guys that I'm really looking forward to and watching him play. One is Mo Seider. I think he's going to be a really terrific defenseman. He's built for the National Hockey League. Now, is he going to be, a 100-point guy? No, but he's going to be a strong, solid defenseman and probably a number 1 or 2 guy for years to come. Lucas Raymond's going to be, I think he's a can't miss. I really think he's going to come in and he's going to sparkle, and fans are really going to fall in love with him. He's highly talented. He can finish. He's a playmaker. He's really good. And then this Jonathan Berggren, who's a point per game player in Sweden. It looks like he's got all the tools too. So, this past series we had with Chicago, Paul and I were talking about Pius Suter and Kurashev, and 2 or 3 years from now, we're going to be talking about Raymond and maybe Joe Veleno and Berggren and all these other guys, and we're going to have a lot to talk about, and it's going to be exciting because they're going to be difference makers on this team as young players.
Right. We want to see Lucas Raymond throw up a hat trick on his first game against the Chicago Blackhawks. I feel pretty good.
I'd take 1 goal right now. That'd be good.
Right. After a shutout last night. Those are tough. I know I don't have too much more time. So my last question, I'm going to skip some of the more recent stuff. I just want to know, because everyone we've had as a guest so far on the podcast, we ask for a timetable of what maybe to kind of build up hope, or you could help us be more realistic with our mindset. Now, for our show personally, we said 3 to 4 years. We said 4 to 5 last year. We're just going to push it up a year and say 3 to 4 this year. I've had, if you've read his work, Ryan Lambert on the show, and he said 8 to 12 years. So we've got quite a wide spectrum of time. Is there anything, I mean, this is just you seeing it from a fan perspective. Like, what do you want to tell? Well, and you can totally skirt, by the way, if you don't want to, if it'll get you in trouble at work. But
no, I mean, I don't know. It's going to take time. Like these processes don't happen overnight. And
right.
the Red Wings had a decline after they won their last Stanley Cup, and we're in a situation now where we're starting from the ground floor up. And I think this year, even though the Red Wings have struggled, and we talked about goal scoring, I really believe that they're a better team this year than they were a year ago. I like the acquisitions on the blue line. I think what Steve is trying to do right here is he's trying to put veterans who know how to play the game, especially on the blue line, guys like Merrill and Stahl and Nemeth and all these guys together, so that it gives you an opportunity to win and play tight, close check-in hockey games. And then you help out your goaltenders too. And we're seeing that right now. The Wings just have to find a way to win, and they have to find a way to score on the power play, and they have to try to find a way to score more. But, that takes time, and it's not going to happen overnight. So to give you a timetable, I'm thinking within the next couple of years, the Red Wings could be struggling for the next, 2-3 years maybe, where they don't make the playoffs. But what you're going to see is you're going to see these people that I mentioned start coming in and making a big difference on this team. And with that said, if you're able to get a break where a couple of these young players turn out to be really solid superstar players, now you could make the playoffs sooner than expected. So what I'm thinking is it's going to take another couple years. You're going to have to go through some more growing pains. But in the end, what you're going to see is a team maybe 3 years down the road with a core group of youngsters to go in with Tyler Bertuzzi and Dylan Larkin, who are going to be older, and Anthony Mantha. And then all of a sudden now you've got a team like the Tampa Bay Lightning, where you've got solid players from age 21 all the way to 28, and they're in the primes of their career, and they're going to be solid. And the other thing that we need too is I think we need some type of a franchise goaltender. And that's something I think the team is looking at right now. I don't think we have one, but
right.
Down the road, I think they're going to try to draft somebody. So that's a long way to answer your question, Matt. But right. I would say the window would probably be another 2 to 3 years, in my opinion. It could be sooner. I'm hoping it's sooner for the fans. But again, Steve's he's practicing patience, and he's asking the fans to be patient. And it's just going to take time for these youngsters to develop, and they don't want to rush their development. And I'll give you an example, just real quick. Look at Lafreniere. He's got 1 point. Here, this guy was everybody's number 1 first overall pick, but you have to remember he's only 18 years old. Maybe he's 19. I don't know, but it's hard. It really is hard for some guy to come in and be like a Connor McDavid. These guys just aren't out there. So even Lafreniere, he's going to be a solid player in the years to come, but he's not physically strong enough to compete and play in this National Hockey League and put up the points that I think everyone's expecting of. So it's going to take time with him too. Can you imagine if the Wings got him and here we are 17 games into the season, he's got 1 point?
Yeah.
What do you think the fans would say? See, that's why the Red Wing management staff doesn't want to rush players in. Like you could have Lucas Raymond in here, but what if he only has 1 point in 17 or 18 games? Fans are going to be all over him saying like, what's going on here? But that's how fragile it is in the National Hockey League. So you just have to be patient. You have to let them play in all different types of situations. You have to build them up strength wise. And when they're ready to come in at maybe 20, 21 years old, then they'll be a difference maker in the NHL, but you can't rush their development.
Yeah, it's one of the stories we've talked about, and it gets kind of silly. But if you've ever seen the film Seabiscuit, it was the issue, and you have to forgive us here, we go a long way for a joke. But one of the problems with that horse was that it went so many years with being forced to lose. So I like to your point. I think there is something that the Red Wings, and why we bring up that Seabiscuit issue, is that we want everything to kind of come together at once. And it goes along the lines with possibly waiting, not even getting Lucas Raymond next year, but we've hinted at the idea that maybe we do wait 2 years. Maybe that is the best way to do this. But
you hope to see progress. That's the thing.
Right.
You hope that you're just not a last place team for 3 or 4 years in a row. You want to start seeing some progress by bringing in some of the young players, and then then everything kind of gels together. So that's the thing too. Like, even though the team's rebuilding now, management wants to see this team improve. I mean, they don't want to be like they were a year ago. They want to see improvement, and even if it's just a little bit, they just don't want to stay the same for several years in a row.
Well, yeah, one of the ones that we're really excited for, we don't know if my best guess would be Mark Stahl doesn't stick around next year. But I mean, there seems to be an easy slot, especially in regards to size, of a Seider in for Stahl. Like that sort of even seems like Stetcher came along for the ride, and he's playing with Stahl to kind of get some sort of speed's not going to be the same, because he's going to have somebody that can skate just as quickly with him up and down the ice in regards to Stetcher and Seider. But that to me seems like that's where this defense is starting to improve, and they're starting to find, not just an identity, but fill in that roster properly. And then the way that guys are going to be slotted out with, careers falling on the back end, contracts expiring, that's where Mo fits in perfectly. And from a PR perspective and from a marketing perspective, I think that's the other point of making sure this team improves a little bit, and we slot in these prospects as well, because that jersey's going to come flying off the shelves once we know what number Seider's taken.
You know what, Matt, I always say too, and I listen, maybe because I always listen to what Paul Woods has to say, but I don't like to judge a player until he plays maybe 75 to 100 NHL games, because you never know what a player is going to be like. In fact, just today, I'll give you an example. I was talking with Chris Chelios, and we were talking about Lafreniere, right? And, I asked Chelly, I go, what was it like when you came in? He goes, my first 13 games, he goes, I was ready to go down to the American League. He goes, I had 1 point. It was an assist. He goes, but then we were in the playoffs, and I scored my first goal in the playoffs. It was against Boston. And he goes, from that point on, he goes, my confidence just soared, and I was a different player. And so that's maybe all it takes. But if you look at a guy like Chelios, look how long he played. He'll be the first to tell you that it's hard, especially for a defenseman, to come in and be a standout Bobby Orr defenseman. I mean, that's a bad, there's no Bobby Orrs out there. But to be a solid defenseman like that, to really take charge and be the top defenseman in the National Hockey League, it just doesn't happen. So you just have to, I don't like judging players right out, like Dahlin, look at him in Buffalo. Everyone says, oh, he's the real deal. He came in. Well, he's still trying to make his force in the National Hockey League, make his way in. And so it just takes a long time for them to develop, and fans have to be patient with these players. And if you get a player that's just going to be super and put up points like crazy, then you've got a bonus right there. And that's what I think the Red Wings need right now. They need a couple young guys to come in, be surprises, and that'll up their progress. It really will.
Absolutely. And I have to say, you're making me feel better. So when I asked you to help the Red Wings fans feel better, I feel better now. We might come in a little too pessimistic at times, especially last night. We recorded right after the Red Wings lost, so that wasn't you don't get your best Met, I think, right after a loss.
But you know what, real quick, just real quick about that is don't judge one particular game. I mean, that's what I think fans like doing that. Like, they'll look at how they played. This you have to judge this team over time. And I look at this team from game 1 to game 18 now, or 17. And I look at this year compared to last year, and I will tell you, they're in more games. They don't fold like they did last year. If it was 2-0, the game was over. At least now they have a fighting spirit, and they're playing better defensively. And Paul and I were talking about how they played. They put it together 20 solid periods of hockey. So they understand the structure of the game. Now, if their power play comes around, and it will eventually, and if they can score a few more goals, guess what? These losses that you saw last night will be wins. And now we're talking about, 6, 7, 10 more points in the standings, and it makes a big difference. And the confidence level will really zoom, move up. And that's what you have to, don't get so upset about one game. The fans tend to do that. Just look at it, the overall picture. And that's all I can tell you is that look where they're at now as opposed to last year. And right now they're playing good, solid hockey. And if they continue to do the good things, they will win some hockey games.
Well, with that, Ken, I want to let you go. I already held you too long, but I honestly have to thank you for your time, but also the words of wisdom, because now I'm going to have to stamp that to my wall right here to make sure I'm a little more responsible with my post-game comments. But Ken, as always, usually it's funny. My mindset right now is, we have a guest on, and I go plug your stuff. But we all know where to find you, Ken. You're going to be continuing to call Red Wings games from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for coming on the show, but absolutely, thank you for being the voice of Detroit Red Wings hockey for as long as you have, and we're hoping for so many more years to come.
Well, I want one more for the thumb. I've got 4 rings now, so I have to stick around to get that last one. And I thought maybe we'd have it in 2009. Didn't happen. So, I just got to hang around a little more here and hopefully see that come true. But yeah, it's a pleasure, Matt. Keep up the good work with what you do. And we want to say that in this COVID situation, it is tough out there. Can't wait for the fans to get back to Little Caesars Arena. They miss the Red Wings like everybody else. And I can't wait till we get back to what normal used to be like, so we can have all the fans there and enjoy the Red Wings. And again, keep the faith. They're going in the right direction. It's just going to take a little time, but appreciate being on your show. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ken. You have a good one.